Hey, it's your boy Cam's Corner. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. It is free. And today we're talking about why you should never buy a brand new motorcycle from the dealership. In this conversation, the first thing we got to do is just talk about the numbers. According to a 2022 study, a brand new motorcycle will lose 20 to 30% of its value the second you roll it off the dealer's lot. Meaning you put it in first gear, you roll onto Eglinton Avenue East, and I promise you, your $10,000 bike is now worth $7,000. Literally, if you were to roll onto Eglinton, take a U-turn, go right back into the dealership and try to trade it in, knowing you just bought the bike for $10,000, they're offering you $7,000 for the bike. Congratulations, you just lost $3,000 as soon as you rolled it off the lot. Not to mention the crazy interest rates, which is why you're going to be upside down on your loan. Now, God forbid you roll off the lot, you take a right onto Steeles Avenue East, and you get rear-ended by a motorist. If you do not have gap insurance on your motorcycle, your bike still lost $7,000. The insurance is only going to cut you a check for $7,000, even though you owe $10,000. That's another big thing people don't think about. A lot of new riders will crash their bike, God forbid, of course, or they'll damage their bike, or their bike will be totaled. And you don't want to be upside down and you're paying payments on something that you no longer own. And also the interest rate that nobody talks about. Yes, you may be able to afford the $10,000 bike, but most interest rates for motorcycles is actually a lot higher than it would be for a car. I know people that are paying 15% interest on a motorcycle, 12% interest on a motorcycle brand new. Meaning, over the course of your 5-year term, you're going to pretty much be buying the bike twice. You see what I'm saying? That makes no sense. You're paying for one bike, but you're going to end up buying the bike twice. Now, I know you may have some financial issues where you can't buy a bike cash. I get that. Most people can. I'm not saying I'm rich because I'm not. But if you're smart, please buy a bike secondhand. If you were to buy the same bike secondhand for $6,500 because somebody else bought it, rode it for a year, maybe put 5,000 kilometers on it, or maybe less, they realized that they weren't into biking and you're able to get a steal like I did, you can now get a bike at a huge discount. And then when you buy the bike for $7,000 and you go to trade it in, the dealership's going to probably offer you $5,500, $5,000. So your loss isn't as big versus you bought it for $10,000, you drove it for a year, and now it's only worth $5,000. You see what I'm saying? And now we got to talk about the break-in period, which is probably the worst part about buying a new bike. For the first 1,000 kilometers or 500 miles if you're American, you're going to have to keep the bike under 6,000 RPM for the first month, depending on how much you ride your bike, of riding. If you're a new rider, you're probably not going to be going that far, so you're not going to put that many miles or kilometers on your bike. So you're going to have to be riding a lot to get through that break-in period, which you're going to be at 6,000 RPM, which is basically pointless and annoying. Not only that, when you're done that 1,000 kilometer break-in period, you now have to go to the dealership and you have to pay for your first service to do the break-in service on your bike, which is another expense that you don't have to pay for if you just buy the bike used. When I buy a bike, I want to be able to go and rip it right away. I don't want to buy a bike, have to spend 1,000 kilometers just chilling. Now, let me give you a little bit of story about my friend Pierre. What he had to do was he bought a 2024 ZX6R. This was during the summer and we were going on a bunch of group rides, having fun, but he couldn't really push his bike for about a month and a half. So all these rides we're on, he's just chilling. He can't really ride the bike how he wants to ride it. Now, don't get me wrong, that bike is amazing. But if he would have bought one with 1,000 kilometers on it, he probably could have saved $3-4 grand and he wouldn't have to deal with the break-in period, right? So that's my 2 cents on that. The break-in period is terrible and you could avoid it by just getting a used bike. But hey, as a side note, I forgot to mention this. You're going to want to upgrade your motorcycle. So let's be real. If you spent $10,000 on your motorcycle, you're going to end up putting at least $3,000 to $4,000 in modifications. Exhaust. If you do full exhaust system, you're looking at $1,500, $2,000. A proper tune, you're looking at around $800. All the little other things, tail tidy. You might want to upgrade the rear tail lights, change that out with some TST industry stuff. You might want to change the side signals. There's so many things you're going to want to change. You might want to upgrade your tires. Most tires that come with the bike standard are not going to be very good. So you're going to want to upgrade that. So not only are you financing a $10,000 bike that's really worth $7,000 the moment you drove it off the lot, now you also have to pay for like $4,000 worth of modifications, $3,000 worth of modifications, which if you were smart, you would have bought a $6,000 bike, spent $3,000 modding it. Or if you're lucky, which actually this is not even lucky, this is most bikes. Most used bikes will have the upgrade that you want. The tail tidy system, the exhaust. Most used bikes will have that. So I would always say get used. The problem with buying a brand new bike. So I would just say, you could take my advice. I would say look on Reddit, look at all the horror stories, people crashing their bike, being negative equity, people trying to trade in their bike and thinking that their bike is worth way more than it was because they bought it at way too high of a price. People financing, stuck in 6-year loans, paying $350 a month at 12% interest rate, which is killing their ability to pay for gas for the bike, pay for maintenance, pay for everything else that you want to do to enjoy your motorcycle, paying for gear, right? So the bottom line from Cam's Corner is buy used, save money, ride fast, live free. Don't buy a brand new motorcycle unless you want to make your bank account cry while you're trying to figure out how to sell it within 2 months later because you don't like the payments and you don't like how much money you're losing. Just please take my advice. If you have any questions or comments down, you can put them down below. Again, this is Cam's Corner. Make sure you do not treat me like a side chick and hit the subscribe button and the like button. It is free 99, it doesn't cost you a thing. Again, I'm Cam's Corner, and I'm out.